Good morning. It is Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. I'll call to order the Story County Board of Supervisors. Please stand if you are able to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt today's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Merkin?
Aye.
Basil?
Aye.
Hens, aye. Now is the time for public comment number one. The comment period is for the public to address topics on today's agenda. If anyone would like to make public comment and you're in the public meeting room, please come forward. Or if you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll close public comment number one, and we're going to move on to, we have one additional item we've got at the beginning of our agenda. Discussion and consideration of reinstating employee donations to Team Story with Matt and Allie.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, so we're here to talk about the payroll deduction for Team Story. As you know, it was, I guess, paused a year and a half ago. And, you know, as a county deciding what to do with Team Story and events and whatnot. But we are going forward with Team Story. We had Burger Fest in September. I think that was a lot of fun. Everyone enjoyed that. And we're preparing for the holiday dinner tomorrow. So believe it or not, that's already here. So, but you know, as things go, these events cost money. So we just would like to reinstate the payroll deduction. As you may know, just to recap, there's a little like half sheet of paper in the past that I don't know if the auditor's office or whoever designed it, but they collected them. And people would contribute just to, you know, whatever they wanted to per paycheck, and it would go to the Team Story funds. Well, we've been working with the auditor's office and worked with a time frame when they wanted to start it and the forms. We've kind of done all that work, and we're going to have everything printed and some things handed out to at the holiday dinner. So while people are happy and eating, they'll be a little more, a little easygoing. So we'll get maybe a little more money that way. But no. Anyway, so we're going to start at the first, I guess, first paycheck of the calendar year. The auditor's office wanted to do that. They didn't want to do it in March or April, you know, some strange time. So we've worked with them. Anyway, we're looking forward to it. I don't know if Allie wants to include anything. I probably forgot something.
I think you got it.
Okay. So, but anyway, I guess we just, yeah, just wanted any comments or questions or approval, or what are your thoughts, if any, at this point?
I guess my only question is, there's no issue with the HIRS, the new HR software and payroll.
Christy didn't seem concerned.
Perfect. Yeah. I have no problem.
I don't have any questions for you. Okay.
I would move approval.
Been moved and seconded. Basil?
Aye.
Merkin?
Aye.
Hens, aye. Great, thank you.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you very much.
Okay, moving on, we've got agency reports. First one is Emergency Management Quarterly Report. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here this morning. I'm just going to hit a real few highlights. A lot of our time this last quarter was spent on training, whether it be training through Iowa Homeland Security to maintain our compliancy with our annual training requirements. Josh also has continued to work with the Sheriff's Office and Public Health and some of our other response partners with getting additional Stop the Bleed kits into the school system. As of the report you saw, there are 91 staff that are now trained in 3 school districts. They are continuing to try to work with Ames. They're having a little difficulty getting into the Ames school system, but they're continuing to push through that. And Josh has submitted a grant request for the next phase, which will be to get some smaller kits into all of the school buses in Story County. So we couldn't have done this partnership without the sheriff's office to assist with the training and also with public health, helping donate some of the grant funds that they received from the state to make this project successful. So we are extremely grateful for them. We did a lot of training with this last quarter with staff from the sheriff's office to train their telecommunicators on how to use the Story County, Iowa alert system to be administrators. And we also provided a refresher training for some of our administrators. It's not a system that we use on a regular basis. So we offer those trainings. We also conducted training with some of our smaller communities in the city of Ames on piloting a process to use in Web EOC, which is a communications platform that we use to communicate between the local level and the state during a disaster or an emergency. Felt it was really successful. We used Ames and 3 other smaller communities. They came back with some great information that I'll follow up with the state on after the first of the year. And we'll kind of wait and see what that's going to go to. They seemed very interested in wanting to utilize that tool if it would be needed to communicate and share information back and forth. I also recently completed a risk assessment training for critical community assets through TEACS, through Texas A&M University. I've decided I'm going to put in a request to complete 4 additional classes to have a critical infrastructure certification. There's some classes coming up this next year. I think it will be beneficial to have somebody locally that can take a look at things pretty quickly and do some of those assessments quickly without having to wait for somebody from CISA to come in and do the assessment. So that's just kind of most of our focus, like I said, has been this training, and I will entertain any questions.
Well, as I'm recalling, you had to do quite a bit of work to get it so we could use Web EOC with the communities in Story County.
Yes, it's been
Why don't you take some credit for that?
Thank you. Yeah, it's been about a 10-year continuing to ask and poke and prod. We received this platform at no cost to the county from Iowa Homeland Security. They do foot the bill for that. But it's been many, many years of pleading to be able to have that same connectivity between the jurisdictions and the EOC. Communications get lost by phone. Communications can get lost by email.
Mhm.
And then we can look at everything from the very much the local level all the way up to the state level. So we are one of the counties that are piloting this right now, along with a couple others, to see if it's something that is feasible. So I'm very, very excited about it. And I really hope that our communities will take advantage of this tool, not only to organize themselves, but allow us to have better communications up here at our level.
I think we always find out in disasters that communication is the big thing, and it's, having the people communicating the same way and streamlining it makes a huge difference. So I really do want to thank you that you've been kind of the thorn in the side on that one.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I just thank you for all the work that you and Josh do. Just all your training and just, you hope that there's not a disaster, but I know you're always planning to be ready for the next one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, hope
We
that
are.
there isn't one, but we know
That's
there
right.
will be. So
At some point there will be, yes, yes.
yeah. Just
Okay.
thank you also.
Thank
for your
Thank
work.
you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Next up, we have RSVP with Kaylin Peterson and Laura Severson.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, you're there. Okay. All right. First of all, thank you for having us and giving us this opportunity to talk a little bit about RSVP. Hopefully you got the annual report that we have from last fiscal year. We mentioned earlier when we were talking about our move to the new 60 Forward Center, which has been great. I mean, we've had a really wonderful partnership with Heartland for many, many years, and it just makes it a good partnership and very easy for us to even work more collaboratively with them. So that's been exciting. One of the things I do want to highlight is what we've been working on in disaster services and public safety. So our primary responsibility with our contract with emergency managers is making sure that we have, and we're prepared to set up a volunteer reception center in the event that it's needed and has been several times in the past. So that's our primary responsibility. But in addition to that, while we're waiting for something to happen, it's disaster education has been a good way for us to keep our volunteers engaged that are part of our disaster program. So the Fraud Fighter program, we've actually been doing for a couple of years now in partnership with, okay, it's got a new name, but I'm going to say the Iowa Insurance Division. So they work actually with our SVPs across the state, several of them. So we have trained volunteers. We'll go out and give presentations on how to help, and a lot of their target is older adults, but how to help them avoid becoming a victim of frauds and scams. And so we've been working on that and had several presentations last year, but we continue to have groups that that we can speak to. Our volunteers, do all the presentations. So it's a really great way for the Iowa Insurance Division to be able to get that information out. So we're always looking for groups, and until we run out of groups, we'll continue to do this program. Laura had an experience recently.
Yeah, so this, somebody from the Story City Police Department had approached me and said one of the independent and assisted living apartment complexes there, they get a lot of calls to the police department about phone calls they're receiving about scams or potential. So that was a really great way to partner with them to be able to give a presentation there, but they also were present to learn some of the information themselves and then took some workbooks and stuff with them. And we're also able to kind of help with the presentation of experiences that they've had on that side. So that was a nice partnership too.
And like Nick Brazzino is on our advisory council, and he mentioned recently how many calls are getting about AI being incorporated into scams. So there's not only the grandparent scams, but now when they answer the phone, it can sound like a family member. So it's important that we get that information out here. Laura designed a brochure, and so we're trying to leave this as many places as we can so that we can really continue to give those presentations out in the county. And then a very new one that just started in June of 2024 is not so much public safety, but disaster preparedness, and it's called PrepWise. So we're really focusing on pushing that information out too about especially seniors being prepared to shelter in place, but there's also an option where they can create a profile in the PrepWise system and really have a specialized plan that's developed for them through this program, and it's all free. So we're excited about, continuing to do that. We've done several presentations since the beginning of this fiscal year. And the rest of it, I think you can probably read through. I will say our grocery delivery program has increased. Our volunteers made 243 grocery deliveries to homebound individuals that last fiscal year, and we continue to see more people that are needing that. That's really by, referral only. So we work with Heartland a lot, but also public health. And then, back on the disaster side too, we recently did a tip hotline training. I think we had about 14 or 15 volunteers there. And so the Story County Sheriff's Office, they train our volunteers to be able to staff a tip hotline in the event of a missing or abducted child or person. So those trainings are about a couple times a year just to keep people refreshed, but they have, I think, 20 phone lines there. And so volunteers can come and staff those tip hotlines in the event that happens. We haven't seen that happen yet. We hope we don't, but if we do, they're prepared to do that as well. And we still continue to focus on education as well with our volunteers in the schools and all of the other stuff that's here. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
Well, I've attended a couple of the PrepWise sessions, and I think it's excellent. So I know you were trying to get more volunteers to train for it, so you could kind of expand it. Have you been able to do that?
I think we have 4 trained volunteers now.
Great.
In Story County to do the presentations. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you have any questions? Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Next, we have consideration of minutes.
I move approval of minutes from December 3rd.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Merkin?
Aye.
Basil?
Aye.
Hens, aye. Consideration of personnel actions.
I'd move approval of personnel actions as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Basil?
Aye.
Merkin?
Aye.
Hens, aye. Consent agenda.
I move approval of the items on consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Merkin?
Aye.
Basil?
Aye.
Hens, aye. We have no public hearing items. Back to additional items. Oh, first one is discussion and consideration of amendment to Central Iowa Chief Elected Officials Shared Liability Agreement. That's me. So as you know, I serve on the Central Iowa Chief Elected Workforce Development. We have a new 28E or a revised 28E amendment. Just to give you a few highlights of it, some is just basic. The original agreement was approved for 8 counties within the local workforce area. Since then, the State Workforce Board has reorganized the state into 6 larger areas, so it's reflecting that. It clarifies the CEO will select the local grant recipient rather than the fiscal agent. As also just clarifies the CLEO or the chief lead elected official designee, and also changes the responsibility in case of misspent funds. And this was in the prior agreement before, that it was an eighth of an eighth and eighth, and now it is changing on a per capita basis. Polk County is in our region, and they felt they're the larger county, they should take on the larger responsibility should there be any issue. And then there's also note in the agreement that if there were anything prior to all of the counties adopting the 28E, that it would still fall under an eighth and eighth and eighth until we've all signed the revise. Don't see anything on the horizon, so I'm not saying there's anything out there, but we do have that noted in there because we're not everybody has their meetings on the same day to be doing this. So we just needed to have something to cover us. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to take any questions.
I don't have any questions. I just know it's been a tremendous amount of.
It has, and I was just elected as the new chief lead elected official, which makes me the chair of the committee moving forward. So I'll just be busy these next few months, next year. If nothing, I will take a motion.
I would move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Basil?
Aye.
Merkin?
Aye.
Hens, aye. Moving on, we've got discussion and consideration of request for American Rescue Plan Act revenue loss funding for the Recorder's Office scanning project.
Good morning.
Good morning, Crystal.
I bring before you for discussion and consideration of a request to use ARPA revenue loss dollars to continue and finish the Story County Recorder's Office scanning project. We're requesting $15,000 from the ARPA revenue loss dollars, and this would offset, they already have it budgeted through the general fund, but this would be a reduction and the cost savings to the general budget, bringing it down to $34,370. And the project would be completed by the end of this year, in December. So if you have any questions, I'm here, as well as Stacy from the Recorder's Office, on what we're asking for.
I just have one question. So when we were looking at this before, when we de-obligated and then we're re-obligating, so is this the total amount of the re-obligated? So we de-obligated from YSS.
Yes,
And then YSS came to us and re-obligated
yep.
dollars to them, and there was money left. So is this all of the money that was left?
This is coming also from what we had on our side
Okay,
for revenue loss. We do need to obligate that before the end of the
okay,
month.
okay.
So we're following that guideline as well as helping out a project.
Yeah, no, that's great. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure.
Yep, that is correct.
We'd been
Yep.
talking earlier and it just gets a little, the whole ARPA gets a little
Yeah, no, it
confusing at
is.
times.
Yep.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that with this, all the ARPA funds are obligated, correct?
Correct, because we did Colonesco YSS Kids Club, the remaining funds YSS, then we re-obligated back to YSS, and we have gone through what we have on our Story County revenue lost account, and this would,
Super.
yep, as well as what we did last week with
Great. Okay,
the IT request.
okay.
Correct.
Is there a motion?
I would move that we approve expending 15,000 from ARPA revenue lost dollars for the recorder's project.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Ken?
Aye.
Basil?
Aye.
Hens, aye. Thank you. Next, we have discussion and consideration of Resolution 25-52 Walnut Creek Crossing Residential Partial Subdivision. Morning, Andrea.
Morning.
So Bryce is bringing up the PowerPoint presentation, but this is just another residential parcel subdivision that we had submitted. It is in section 6 of Union Township, so it is outside of the 2-mile radius of any city limits. So we are the only jurisdiction with review authority. It's in the A1 Agricultural District, in the South Skunk River watershed. And so as you see on the left-hand side, that star on the map indicates the location of the parcel. So it is south of Ames, north of Huxley and Cambridge. And then on the right-hand side in aqua is the subject property highlighted there. And you can see that there is some mapped floodplain going through that property. And it is just west of Interstate 35, primarily an agricultural area with some residential development to the west in an area that wasn't, good farmland in the timbered and kind of hilled portions. So the proposed division is just to create this, 2 lots out of this one existing parcel. The lot lines are a little bit difficult to see, but essentially around lot 1 on the left-hand side, the lot line follows the center line of the creek and then a ravine that drains into that. And then the remainder is proposed lot 2. So this parcel is a little bit different in that it already has 2 existing dwellings on it. One of them was deemed ag exempt, I believe, back in 1986. So these 2 lots, when they are split, if you approve the subdivision, they will each have an existing dwelling already. So there isn't a proposal to add any dwellings currently. This is a split to just help bring the parcel into conformance. They have an interest in maybe adding a caretaker's dwelling to propose lot 2 because there is a large horse stable on that lot. We don't have any, concrete plans for them to do that, but that would have added a 3rd dwelling to the existing parcel. So we offer the option that they could split it into 2, fix the nonconformities with it, and then think about applying for a caretaker's residence or an accessory dwelling unit. So there is a drainage easement on the parcel or with the proposed subdivision that has been granted to the county. So that would allow the county to go in if we deemed it necessary to do stream bank stabilization or other erosion control projects on that portion of Walnut Creek that goes through the subdivision. So just got up on the screen here, just the regulations that guide the residential parcel subdivision process. You've seen these multiple times. It limits it to 2 development lots, which is the case here. There aren't any outlots being set aside. It is entirely within the A1 Agricultural District. And there's no space set aside for public use or anything like that. I believe you've seen these as well. So yeah, no variances being granted for the subdivision. The development lots exceed the minimum lot size for this subdivision type. So on December 3rd, we did mail notices to surrounding property owners within a 1/4 mile. We have not received any public comment as of this presentation. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are the sole jurisdictional review authority for this one. So analysis, all regulations for residential parcel subdivisions have been met with the request. The property owners did provide the required stream easement or drainage easement to the county, and that will be recorded with the subdivision. Again, both lots already contain existing dwellings. The only other dwellings that could be built would have to be like a caretaker's residence for the stable or would have to meet the standards we have for accessory dwelling units.
So could you remind us just quickly on ADUs, what the standards are?
Yep. So it is a maximum, the ADU can be a maximum of 1,200 square feet. That does not include the basement. So somebody could have, a finished basement, and it has to be within 200 feet of the primary dwelling. Has to have a separate address, septic system, that kind of thing. So basically the main two standards are the size restriction and the fact that it needs to be within a certain distance of the primary dwelling, so as not to create a loophole to the subdivision regulations.
So it could be a rental to an unrelated person.
Yes, we don't guide what they do with the accessory dwelling unit. So
Pardon?
yes, we don't regulate what they do with it. So they could use it as rental housing if they
Okay.
wanted to. Yes.
And a caretaker's residence, would that be under, how would that fit in the zoning ordinance?
So in the A1 agricultural district, it specifically calls out that you can have a caretaker's residence in conjunction with a horse stable. So somebody who lives on the property and works there, taking care of the horses
I was
full
thinking it'd be
time.
home business, but specifically with a,
No, it's specific to the horse stable. I apologize. Yeah.
okay.
So that's the reason I brought that up, is there's a very large horse stable in operation on proposed lot 2.
Thank you.
Mhm. And then no other subdivisions could take place on this property without a rezoning. So that's just something to keep in mind. So our recommendation is for the Board of Supervisors to approve Resolution 25-52 as submitted. Your other alternatives would be to add conditions to that resolution, deny it, or table it and ask for more information from the applicant. And I don't believe the applicant is on Zoom or in the room, or the property owner, excuse me.
There's a question by Pamela West. Is that's fine. I'll do the question. That's fine. Pamela, you had a question?
Yes. I'm concerned, I'm just up around the corner. I just want to make sure that it's not going to be turned into a housing development, that there are only going to be the 2 homes and a caretaker.
Yes, so with the zoning, the A1 zoning district, they would only be allowed to have the 2 existing homes. And then per the ordinance, if they wanted to add, 1 accessory dwelling unit to each lot, they could do that. But that's true of anybody in the A1 zoning district that has a dwelling on their property. So that's not specific to this subdivision, but no, it will not be a housing development with, several, 10, 20 houses on it.
So only 1 extra dwelling per each lot, correct?
If they even choose to apply for that, correct.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Any other
Thank you.
question? All right, if not, we'll take a motion.
I move to approve Resolution 25.52 for the Walnut Creek Crossing Residential Parcel Subdivision as submitted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Merkin?
Aye.
Hazel? Aye. Heddens? Aye. Thanks, Andrea.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now we move on to departmental reports. We have Information and Technologies Quarterly Report. Morning, Joe.
Good morning, board.
Morning.
So I provided a report kind of similar to my last one, which it seems crazy to think that this is already my 2nd quarterly report, but here we are. So kind of as a summary, in the last quarter, we had 431 open tickets for IT and we closed 428 of them. There had been 354,000 emails and change the past quarter. So there's kind of a breakdown of some of the reasons why emails may not have come in. The biggest chunk being IP found in RBL, which just means it was identified as spam on a spam list. So we had 24,000, almost 25,000 emails blocked for that category. And then there's a few other categories there, kind of confusing what some of those names are. So if you've got questions on any of them, just let me know. Security events. So we had several thousand analyzed events with our security platforms, a couple detections, 23 detections, and those were remediated automatically and right away. Asset disposal, we had 4 donations that we had given out this past cycle, and then 50 items went up for auction and were removed that way. So in the last quarter for projects completed, we assisted the sheriff's office with their Axon body camera migration for all of their vehicles. So that went really smoothly on our end. We replaced 25 computers in the last quarter, and then departmental meetings. I had met with most of the county departments just to kind of check in being new, and we've completed most of those now. So upcoming, the exciting one upcoming is the Office 365 migration that I know everybody's super excited for. So Friday at 3 o'clock, Tim and myself moved over to Office 365 and email and everything. So we kind of went through the weekend to do some testing. We had a couple of bumps, but we got those figured out. So here, beginning of this week, we're going to move the rest of IT just to make sure that we've got our process down and ready. So the hope is that later this week, I'll send an email out to department heads and elected officials, just kind of explaining the process and what we're looking at here in the next several weeks. And then just asking to schedule with the department on when works best for you over the next few weeks or several weeks anyways. So that's where we're at with that. We've got some security camera server infrastructure updates at the jail that we still need to do. We've had some issues getting equipment in. UPS has been a little bit of a challenge logistically the last month, which has been kind of odd, but we're working through that. Our virtual server hardware migration, Joel's been working at that, getting ready to replace some old hardware there. A couple weeks ago, we approved new permitting software for environmental health and planning and development. So as of this morning, we received communication to start that process. So we're ready to, I think both departments are pretty excited to move forward with that. So now here during their downtime, we'll be able to really hit the ground running, planning for that and getting that designed. So pretty excited for that. Last year, you guys had approved a redundant internet connection from MetroNet to the Justice Center to provide redundant internet service to here in Nevada. That has just been finally installed and tested as of yesterday. So we're up and in a good spot there. So where we're at now is we've got a new firewall that we'll put in place, which is our security device that kind of separates the county network from the rest of the internet. So we'll put that in place, and we've got a company helping us with some of the failover aspects of that connection. So that way, should one of our connections go down, we'll just automatically and seamlessly flow over to the other connection. So that county operations can continue without any issue. Also here on our docket, hopefully in the next quarter, once we get past the 365 migration, is our secondary data center at the HSC building. That's kind of on our to-do list to do a little renovation over there and beef that equipment up over there. And then consuming a lot of my time the last couple of weeks is budget planning. So talking to every department to try and find out what everybody's needs are and get them in the budget and learning that process as well. So a couple of things we're investigating that we've been kind of investigating the last quarter, but we're looking to put in on our budget. A new ticketing system, a new phone system, a new asset tracking and inventory system, and new spam and email filter system. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We got a couple different projects here on the
You've been busy.
been a little busy, but busy's good. So any questions?
I don't have any questions, just excited for Office 365 and,
Yeah.
and I have personally heard some really great things
It's-
about from people all across the county, just saying.
We're going to
that
gain a
they're
lot of things
excited.
with it. So it's going to be a really good transition for us. And knock on wood, wherever there's wood, it seems like it's been a pretty seamless process for us that have moved already. So we're pretty
Great.
excited that should be a pretty easy project for us to wrap up and get a lot of gains from it as a county. So
I've also heard people are really pleased with the outreach
sure.
that's your office has been doing or your department's been doing recently. Really
Okay.
appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's important to, I'm here to serve all of the departments in the county as a whole. So however we can do that, that's important.
Thanks.
Great, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Next we have quarterly report is from conservation. Morning, Mike. Yep, still morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So you should, you've all got the report. Just go down through it fairly quickly here and answer any questions you may have. First one is a continuation on our improvements at the Heart of Iowa Nature Trail. You know that we've been working on that. This summer has been golly, a whirlwind summer down on the Heart of Iowa. And so we've got the paving complete, substantially complete from Cambridge over to Collins now. And the first section of that is open to the public. The second section is not quite open yet, but we anticipate that anytime. So, so the projects, both contracts are substantially complete, and we expect to close both of those out very soon. Callie, almost another, I hesitate to use the phrase generational project, but another one of these projects that's taken decades, literally, to complete is a wastewater project at Hickory Grove. We started this project with a consultant's report in 2009. And so as of this morning here, it is substantially complete, the new system, and it is operational. So few little punch list items that need to be completed. But as of now, Hickory Grove has a completely new wastewater treatment system, and something that we've needed for a long time. Next steps on that, a number of years ago, when we anticipated this project moving a little quicker, we received a grant from the Department of Natural Resources to convert the lagoon into a fish rearing pond. And so that will be next. We're going through the process, working with Kimberly and the state on what's going to be required for that conversion. But we anticipate doing some dredging there and then installing a grade control structure, kind of a fish catchment device, and then eventually DNR, once it's constructed, DNR will supply the fish as little fry, and they'll be raised in the pond and then released into not just Hickory Grove, but other lakes for fishing. So tremendous opportunity, and that's received a lot of private donations as well. On the water quality side, you know, we've been involved with the Edge of Field project for a number of years here, and that's progressing, although progressing slowly. The year 2 project is contracted now, and that had to get rebid, and so that took some time. And but now that's contracted, and then you'll see the status of subsequent years here as well. You'll see that year 2 does do 600 acres. I believe year 1 accomplished somewhere around 1,000 acres, maybe 1,100 acres, somewhere in there of treatment. Another new, relatively new happening is Hawk. The Hawk company came online as a major sponsor of our water quality efforts. As you know, the company is based in Ames. Company has been around for many years and produces water quality testing supplies. And so they've been supportive at a level for several years of their product. And so they're continuing that now, and they're donating their product for the testing, and then they're considering donating some new products that they're developing that'll be automated test instruments. They won't involve the old paper strip that we use now for different parameters. At any rate, tremendous sponsor, not only in product, but then they've provided financial support as well. You'll hear me talk about a little bit later some of the projects that were called for in the Water and Land Legacy. One of those, water quality related, is wetland and oxbow restorations. And so we've begun those conversations with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and with Iowa Soybean Association, and IDALS. And all three of those are partners in that project. And we anticipate not only in-kind support from them, but also financial support to move those projects forward. So really excited about that. And they seem to be equally excited about the opportunity. So we're real grateful for that. And then lastly, on water quality, I'll say you'll see it here, but for the last several years, we take one water body and do kind of a bioassessment on that every year. I think Bryce helped with this one this year, and that was a kind of a blitz at on the Skunk River at at our county area known as Osheim Preserve and Slough Prairie and Slough Preserve. And so we got that monitored successfully. And I think had all kinds of fun in doing that. So we don't have results back from the hygienic lab yet. The wetland that we've been working on at Prairie Valley is substantially complete as well, with the caveat that we don't have and some of you maybe have seen some email communication on this, so we don't have it's not functional. We don't have the tile connection from the new lift station, or I should say from the lift station to the road. And that's the portion of the project that is the responsibility of the drainage district contractor. So that portion is not done, so the wetland's not done. And so we're having some communication with all the parties to see what the remedies might be and how we can get that project, that district project expedited. Trails plan. There's not a lot to update here. We did just receive the draft from our consultant on it. We put the draft out for public comment. I think the comment period closed maybe Friday or within the last few days. And so now we'll be wrapping up summarizing those comments and then considering those comments and bringing that forward into a final draft. All of that would be anticipated for this early winter. As far as our educational side, I guess one of the things that we wanted to mention here is a relatively new offering in the state by the University of Iowa. It's called School of the Wild, and it's a fairly new program. It's an intensive program. It's a week-long program that instructors from U of I come over and they spend the whole week all day with class. And so we facilitated the School of the Wild coming over for two of our classes here in Story County, Gilbert 6th and Colonesco 4th. So they came over and spent a week. And from what we hear, the teachers really appreciated that. The whole program is predicated on the School of the Wild folks and our folks who helped with it, instructing the teachers. And so the teachers lead a good portion of this, but all week is based on outdoor experiences. And so had tremendous reviews on it. And then we'll consider, to what level we want to engage with that new offering in the
Is that
future.
just like an hour each day?
It's all day.
All day.
All
a
day
week?
for a week. So you could imagine the commitment from the schools.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a huge commitment. But this program has been, like I said, is fairly new. I can't tell you when it started, but has been having some tremendous successes, geared mostly for smaller schools, just sheer numbers wise. But if you look at the elementary, middle, et cetera, typically geared toward the oldest class or oldest grade level in that age bracket. So, um, next thing I'll talk about is natural resources, some of the work that's been done there, and I'm not going to go over all these things, but we had a successful seed harvest again this year, and so very pleased with that. We were able to this spring or this fall, I should say, for the first time, we utilized drone in some chemical application, which is first time we've done that. It's gives us an opportunity to, you'll see a lot of producers that are moving in this direction as well. But gives us an opportunity to reach undesirable species in ways that we wouldn't normally be able to reach them. And so in this case, we were able to spray some wetlands that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So had some success with that, and look forward to considering if that's something we want to add to our methods. We did have a tremendously well-received field day that we hosted. You remember a number of years ago, we completed a countywide, what we call environmentally sensitive areas inventory, exhaustive look at countywide vegetative communities and where are the most sensitive of those. And first at a desktop level, second on on the ground level, and multi-year inventory. Well, that's been completed, of course, for maybe a year now. And next step, if you will, was for us to consider, okay, now we have this data, and we've worked with a lot of landowners who have land that is considered sensitive from a vegetative standpoint. And lots of those landowners are very cognizant of what they can do to improve their land. When you look at, and you've heard me talk philosophically about this before, but the public land in the county is fairly small when you consider the amount of private land we have, and we know it's hard to protect, hard to acquire, hard to protect public land. So we feel we can have a real good impact, if you will, on our resources if we work with private landowners. And so this program basically has generated a core of folks that are interested in managing for the resources on the property. And this was the first opportunity that we've used to get those folks together, bring in some instructors, instruct some classes ourselves, and spend the day on, in this case, it was on woodland management. And so we brought in someone from the district forester and some folks from different organizations that could come in and talk about different aspects of woodland management. So it was a tremendous opportunity. And then I guess the last thing I'll talk about more is the Water and Land Legacy Bond. As you're all quite well aware, it passed, and there's a number of things that we'll work on first. The first that I mentioned already is the wetland and oxbow project. That'll be one of the first ones that we do. Another first one that we do will be Hannum's Mill Dam mitigation. We do have some partial funding for that, and a few different funding sources, and then this will make that whole. So we're currently reaching out to designers, to engineers to look at the design on that project, and we'll be considering contracts for design. Next one is the Depi Family Wildlife Area. We were anticipating a longer term prairie restoration there on the previously tilled land. There are about 90 acres of tillable there. And so we farmed it this year. We were planning on a 2-year farming rotation. But at the end of this year, we've determined that we need to go with a 3-year rotation instead of a 2-year to meet our goals. And so we have a local farmer that's going to be doing that and doing a no-till farming, and very happy with that person's first year and looking forward to it. 2 more years of that. But it's really going to take that to get control of the cool season community, vegetative community that's there before we plant prairie. And then the last one is a cabin construction at Dakin's Lake. Similarly to the other ones here, we do have partial funding for that, so this makes it whole. And we had some, currently have some money in an active contract on design. We've kind of set that to the side for the last year and a half, and due to some other priorities, and now we're picking that back up. So we'll move forward with that as well. Any questions?
Any questions? I don't have any. No.
Very good.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mike. Appreciate it. No other reports, any upcoming agenda items? Nope. Okay, now is the time for public comment number 2. Comments from the public on items not on this agenda. The board may not take any action on the comments due to the requirements of open meetings law, but may do so in the future. If anyone would like to make public comments and you're in the public meeting room, please come forward, or on Zoom, please raise your hand. And seeing none, we'll close public comment number 2. Liaison Assignments Committee meeting updates and announcements. Supervisor Merkin.
Today I have a webinar, I think at 1 o'clock, on building health equity, farming and rural health. Sounded interesting, so I thought I'd check in on that. Then do we have facilities recognition this afternoon?
I don't have.
I don't have it.
I do. What? No,
Yeah, not till January.
not till
Yeah, that's what
January.
I
I
thought,
wondered
yeah.
what it was doing there. Never mind, folks. Another webinar tomorrow, Iowa Learning Farms. Thursday, I have a CERTPA meeting. And Friday, an AEDC board meeting. And next Monday, I'm up a meeting. And so, and a conservation board special meeting. So, several meetings.
And did you say it? Are you attending the AAMPO meeting tonight?
Yes.
Did you say that? You may have said that.
Didn't
and
said it, but I didn't say it, but yes, I am. Thanks.
Okay. Supervisor Faisal?
Yeah, this afternoon I have a meeting with Julie Saxton. Tomorrow I'm doing a wellness screening and then our holiday dinner. And then a manufactured housing repair discussion meeting. And then tomorrow evening, have a discussion about we're going to be launching a new executive director search for Surha. So discussion around that. Thursday, I have my AI leadership breakout team meeting. There's a NACO Justice and Public Safety Steering Committee meeting, and a DEIB monthly meeting, and then Wellness Committee meeting Friday. We have the Building Inclusive Organizations Breakfast. And then I believe Friday is also the cookie exchange in this building, I think. 13th, yeah. And then I have my AI leadership webinar Friday. And Monday morning I have a doctor's appointment, and then a NACO call Monday afternoon.
Great.
Well, forget everything I said. I was in January.
Oh.
Yes, I am going to MPO tonight.
Okay. I have a ARC Executive Committee meeting tonight. Tomorrow I have a meeting with the workforce. I have the holiday dinner. I'm also signed up to attend their via Zoom, the statewide homelessness gaps analysis report webinar. And I have a NACO workforce development meeting. Thursday afternoon, I have an appointment in the morning, but we'll be in probably around 11:30. Friday, I have the Building Inclusive Breakfast at Raymond Gardens, and I have a Board of Health special meeting at Friday afternoon. And Monday morning, I have a HERDA board meeting. So I'm sure the gaps will get filled.
Indeed.
And if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Merkin?
Aye.
Basil?
Aye.
Heddens, aye. We are adjourned.